Right. So let's start the lesson. So last week we talked about the theory part, so the functions and the procedures of the Pascal, right? So, and we were writing some declaration regarding the function and the procedures as well, right? So today we are going to go let's see whether will we be available to able to write finish up the lesson, right? So because the rest of things are some little theory parts, so which we have to go through. So yeah, can yeah, let me share the screen and let me start recording. I think recording is done. Yes, it is. Okay, so can anyone confirm the place, as I remember, the place that I have finished is a place that we wrote this declaration and I named those, right? What are the components or the parts that you can see in the function
in
the declaration, right? Yeah, great. And yeah, I want you to copy this syntax definition, this particular picture that you can see, right? So before you go for it, I'll explain what it is, like you can understand it as well. So they are declared a procedure, right? So procedure declaration is here. So it is a procedure. The name of the procedure is sub1, and variable x is a parameter which is in the real data type, right? So then this begin and end indicates the scope of the procedure IT කොටස, right? So the statements will be there, right? So that is the procedure declaration, and the function declaration is here, like function sub2, then inside it var x real. Those are the parameters, or in this case the parameter, which is the x in real data type. And after that, they put a colon and put the real. That means it is the return type of the function, right? And again, as the procedure, function has its own scope, or the body of the function, and statements are there in between begin and end couple, right? So if you assume only these two parts were there in the program, like if you execute it, save it and execute it, you won't see nothing, or you won't see anything on the screen, because like declaring a procedure or a function won't execute them, right? So to execute a procedure or a function, we should call that particular procedure or a function, right? So now this begin is the begin of the main program, and end is the end of the main program. So there will be statements in between, and here you can find they are calling to the procedure. So sub1 and some value is sent. So then it will be goes to this green color part and will execute it. So after that, it will return to the next line of the calling statement. And when you are calling to the function, so like we call it from the function name, and we should pass the same amount of parameters, which is according to the declaration, to call a particular function. So in the procedure calling, it's the same thing we had done, right? So here the function calling is different because it calls inside, like, because it is called like by assigning that calling to something, right? So there are two ways of calling this: assigning this particular calling statement to a variable, or you can call it inside a write-ln statement, right? So anyway, once it is being called, it will go and find the particular function and do whatever been asked to do. So then return something from this function to the main program calling, or like actually it is replacing with the return thing, right? So then that particular return will be assigned to a variable, in this case to a variable v, right? And there can be statement then after as well, right? So what you have to understand is this is written separately on the program and this is written separately on the program. So this is the main program, which is in between the begin and the end, the main, begin and the end. Okay, got that? Everyone, how was it? Okay, how about others?
Yes.
Right, great. Okay, I want you to copy this down now, right? So this explains what happens inside a procedure and a function, right? Right, copy it as it is. You don't need to color, but it's better you like separate the procedure, function, and the main program. Let me know when you are done, right? All right, one is done. How about others? Right, so let's continue. Right now, yeah. Now here they have given us a program with the procedures and program with the functions. I'll just explain this, how things are happening. Like we don't need to remember, write these things into our books, right? All right, so here you are going to give the answers for me, right? I'm going to ask you the questions, right? So yeah, so how many, now what is the name of this program? Yes, the name of this program?
Procedures.
Not just procedure manual.
It's a procedures circle
Yeah,
and discuss.
procedure underscore circle. Yes, on Etra it's procedure underscore circle, right? If they ask something like that, you have to give the like entire name with all the characters, right? So this is going to be your name, right? And how many variables are being defined? Yes, in the main program, how many variables?
One.
There is only one. Okay, what it is? It is radius, and
It's
in
a
real
real
data.
data.
Yeah. Real data type means what are those?
Floating values.
Yeah, floating
Yes.
values, or like the decimal values, right? The values which got decimals, right? And now, what is pi?
Constant.
It is a constant value. So once like what's the nature of the constant? Once we given a value, it's not going to change, right? So pi means like it's always 22 divided by 7. It's not going to change. All right, how many procedures are there? Yes, Onetra, there are 3 procedures, right? And what is the like how many parameters are there in the get data procedure? How many parameters are there in the get data procedure? Yes, Dulagi, that's correct. Only one. And what's the data type of it? Real. Well done. Right. And like how many statements are there in the get data procedure? How many statements? Yes, Dulagi, that's correct. Yes, Anetra, that's correct as well. Right, there are 2 statements, which are these 2. And what is the purpose of those 2 statements? Why they use it? Yes. Yes, anyone? You can type the answer, or you can on your mic and tell. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good, Dulagi. Yes, Onitra. That's correct. It is there to take some value from the user. For that, they display enter radius trace on the screen using write-ln. Then once the user has given some value, it is been read into the radius variable, or it is been assigned into radius variable, right? Okay, then it ends. Then like to execute these two, එතම procedure එක execute වෙන්න නම් යාව execute කරන්න කියලා කියන්නේ කොතනින්ද? From which statement? In this program, what is the statement asking get data procedure to execute?
Write-ln enter radius.
Not the right ln. Procedure එක execute වෙන්න පටන් ගන්න කියලා කියන්නේ කොතනින්ද? Right ln is the statement that
To get
executes.
that.
Yeah. Yes, Menu?
Read radius.
Come again?
Read radius.
Read radius. No. Dulagi, that answer is correct. In the main program, what is the statement? What is the statement? What is the statement that asking procedure get data to execute? Correct, Onitra. Get data radius. This is the one. This is the one which calls this procedure to get executes. Right? Okay, so then this is the point that the program start to execute very firstly, right? මේ තුන් දෙනාම execute කරන්නේ. Pascal will read those things, that's all. But execution starts from here. So when Pascal found this, it will goes to the procedure get data and will execute these two. All right. Now, from this procedure, in this procedure, do we have any new variables are being introduced? Yeah, Dulagi, yes. I think you are trying to say area, right? Yeah, area, yes, Seran, that's correct. Area is a variable which introduced inside this procedure. It is a new one, right? So far we knew it's after the first line of the program, like program name එක අපි ලියලා එයාව introduce කරායින් පස්සේ then we knew we have to like assign, not like assign it, we have to initialize the variables and the constant. And here comes a new place where we can introduce a variable inside a procedure. You can do the same inside a function as well, right? So then in these two lines in here, now what is this? Is this an input or an output or a process?
Process.
It is a process. Yes, madam. It is a process, right? So that process says like take pi and multiply by radius and by radius again, right? So that will be assigned to the variable called area, and then they will put, or like they will print this area trace as it is on the monitor. Then after it will put the value of the area. Then after, so it will say, okay, area is something like this, right? So here in this procedure, the procedure name is process circumference, right? So it is also taking a one variable called radius, right? Yeah, Dulagi, like I think Dulagi is asking a good question. You ask what you are asking, Dulagi, is why can't we introduce, or like why can't we initialize this inside these brackets, right? That is what you are asking, right? Yeah. So Dua, this is called the parameter list. Now, if we introduce parameter list, when we call to a particular function or a procedure, we have to pass some values. We have to pass some values with the calling function, right? So the process area procedure got one variable, and when we are calling that process area, we have to pass some value. That is why here they got radius over here. Now this radius means the radius we introduce right over here, right? So if we introduce this within these brackets, there will be a problem. Problem is, like, we have to pass two values within the function calling. The area එකටත් value එකක් යවන්න ඕනේ, radius එකටත් value එකක් යවන්න ඕනේ, right? Then අපි radius වලට නම් මෙතනින් value එකක් ගන්නවා, right? But to calculate the area, what we need is pi and the radius. And pi value is here. Radius value is the thing that we collect from here. So we got both the things. So we can pass the radius to this particular function. And then we can ask to calculate the area by using pi and the radius that we have collected. දැන් මේ area කියන එකනත් මෙතන හිටියා නම් එහෙම අපි area වලටත් value එකක් යවන්න ඕනද, which we don't have. තේරුණාද දුලාගේ? Right? Okay. So now the first procedure that executes is this. What is the next procedure that executes? Process circumference. Yes, Anitra, that's correct. Why we are saying it? Because it is the next in the line after get data. It is process circumference is there. And Saran, about your question, can you explain why they have written radius? Like, Saran, are you asking like why they have used, what is the purpose of using the radius, or why they have write something like radius? Get data radius. Yes. Let me elaborate. Hold on. Let me take a screenshot. right? So now what Sharon is asking is like why this is being like this, right, Sharon? This is what you're asking, right? Yeah. So Sharon, when we introduce or like when we declare a procedure, according to our requirement, we can introduce the parameters in the procedure or a function, right? It is our requirement to do so, right? අපිට අපේ තියෙන උවමනාව මත තමයි අපි parameters declare කරන්නේ. අපිට අවශ්‍ය නැත්නම් we are not going to declare anything inside it. It's going to be just an empty bracket, right? So now what they are trying to do is like, but the purpose of this procedure is they are trying to take the radius, right? And they are trying to like take something into the radius variable, right? So for that purpose here, first they have declared there is a variable called radius, right? So that particular radius will be passed from here to this particular place, right? Now, since it is being passed from this, the program will ask a value for the radius. Let's say as an example, the 7 is given. So then 7 is read for the radius. Now in the memory, there is this radius variable which holds 7 now, right? So why they are passing something called radius over here? Because in the function procedure definition, it says there is a procedure called get data, and it's supposed to get one variable called radius, right? And this is the way they have passed it. I have one good thing to check on this. Hold on. Yeah, just give me a moment, people. I need to be sure whether the way they have called is correct. Hold on a second. me run this. Okay, I'm entering 7. It's not enough. Oh, yeah, it works. Yeah, no problem. Yes. Yeah. What I was thinking is like whether they will be reading this radius inside the function, inside the procedure, which is this. All right. Okay, Saran, about your question. So we have introduced a radius over here. So that radius will be passed into this, and they will ask for a radius, and it will read something to the, like the value which is given to the radius in this particular line. So hereafter we have something for radius, so we can do this particular, like the process as well as this particular process. So it is the way that we are going to call to this particular procedure, Seren, because it says get data is the procedure name, and it required a one value for the variable over here. So that is what we are doing, get data and giving a one value called radius. Is that clear, Seren? Right. Okay. Right. Then after, so the second procedure that's going to work is this process circumference. So process circumference is over here. So what they are doing is they are taking the radius again, and they have introduced a real variable called circum. So circum will be calculated by multiplying 2 and pi and radius together, right? So then it writes circumference equals the value of the circumference, right? Or the circum, value of the circum variable, right? Then once this ends, what is the line that that is going to execute next in the program? Once process circumference is executed, and now it is at the, now end is also executed. So then what is the next line that the program is going to, yes, on it? That's right, this process area statement, because by this it is been called to this particular procedure and do it until the end, then it returns to the next line, right? So it returns to the next line, and this is going to happen. So this means this is called, for this particular place, the definition. So then they are going to calculate the area using pi and the radius. So pi is there, which was introduced as a constant, right? And radius, we know what's the value of that. It is given by the user. So area is given, like in the monitor it says area equals and the value of the area, right? So then it ends. So once it is ends, it will return to the end statement of the program. So it ends the program anyway, right? So it is what happens, right? So all you need to know is when you are given a program, you should have the idea how this is going to happen, right? It's not going to be major things, but just remember the concept. Okay. Yes, Saran. No problem. We can write the program without the procedures. Nikam variables
So what is
Manu.
so what is the maximum number of procedures you have to do?
No. There is no maximum number of procedures or functions that you can write terminal. You can write as much as you want. The only thing is you are going to use it in an efficient manner, right? Then me ogalange program ke they are just illustrating you how a procedure can be used, but they make a one-time wadak ne. So like if we are going to collect the radius in more than one particular place, so this particular get data procedure will be executed more than one time, right? So if you are going to calculate the area in several different places, so it's going to execute in several different places by using the calling statement, right? So that is what is happening, right? And as you say, Saran, we can write the similar program without the procedures, like assuming it's only work once. But in case if it is going to work twice, then this is the most efficient way of writing it. නැත්තම් ඔයාගේ program එක ආයෙසරයක් ලියන්න වෙනවා. Right? Okay. So same goes with the functions, right? And before that, is this clear, people, about the procedure and its working? Let me have the confirmation, everyone, please. Right, great. Okay, so then the program with functions. So the only difference is function is there to return something, right? So when we declare the function, we should say what is there to be returned, or like in which data type that we are going to return something, right? So here in the function, right here in the function, it says the program name is function circle and input and output is there as usual. Here they have used the constant variable pi again and a variable called radius in real data type. And now there is some special thing that you need to recognize from here, right? Function keyword is there. Now this is the function name. What is the function name? The process area. And it has a parameter list. It's just one variable there inside the parameter list, right? So it's a real. And it is saying the return will happen in real as well, right? And here, the beginning is there. So area is being assigned with this particular calculation. So it is the process, it is a process inside the process area function. And this is the special thing. Now this process area, what is this? What is this process area? Yes, what it is. What is it? Have we declared any variable called process area? No. Yes, Manol? Or the Cyril, the one who is calling, one who is talking? What is process area? What is the place that we can find the process area word?
The function.
That's right, the function name. Since you got a ES7, that's correct. And since you got something to return, it is the way of returning from a function in Pascal. Remember, it is only like it is specific to Pascal, right? Any programs wala, any programming languages wala අපි එහෙම function name එකකින් return කරනවා කියලා දෙයක් කරන්නේ නැහැ. Right? මට හම්බෙලා තියෙන programming language wala, this is the only programming language which use the function name to return something, right? So they use function name to get assigned what to be returned. දැන් මේ මේකෙන් ඒගොල්ලන්ට එළියට return කරන්න ඕනේ. එළියට visit කරන්න ඕනේ area කියන එක්කෙනාගේ value එක. So for that they use the function name and they assign to that function name the variable that they need to return. So then area will be returned. This area variable will be returned with a real data type. Have you got this, people? It is the way of writing it, right? ඒක තමයි ලියන විදිහ.
The last real is the type of the return data.
Yes, last real is indicating the return data type. This real belongs to the data type of the radius, and this real belongs to the return type of the function, right? So that is why they assign the function name with the variable which is going to return, right? So likewise, see the process circumference. It is also returning something. So they have a circum variable which is in real format. So they calculate circum 2 pi into radius, and then process circumference is assigned with circum, right? So same way, process circumference is the name of the function, right? So it is assigned with what to be returned. So circum is going to return in real data type, right? So that is what is going to happen when function executes. Now in this program, tell me the very first line that get executes. What is the very first line that get executes? Apart from the assignment, right? Like මෙතනදී constant pi කියන එකට ඒක execute වෙනවා. So like in the main program, what is the first line that is getting executed? Yes, people, any suggestions? What is the first line that is going to be executed? Enter radius, that is right. Very good, Cyril. So this is the one which is going to get executed, right? Ln enter radius. So we will be seeing enter radius trace on the monitor. So we will be given the value, and that value is going to read to the radius variable. So unlike the procedure, we have read a variable to the radius inside the main program here, right? So then what they have done is write ln, so that means they are going to print something. So circumference will be printed as it is with the equal sign. And then after the comma, what is this? What is this? What is this statement? Yeah, Onetra, it's the calling statement of the function process circumference. Calling statement. So it is very important to remember how it is going to be the calling statement, right? Then ඔයගලන්ගෙන් විභාගෙදී හිස්තැන් පුරවන්න වගේ මෙහෙම එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. right? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ calling statement එක තමයි මෙතනට එන්නේ කියලා කියන්නේ. මේකේ නම වෙන්නේ calling statement එක කියලා. right? So this is the calling statement. So when this is being executed, so it goes to right over here, right? This particular function, and they are going to execute these things. Right? So once it ends, what is the place that they are going to return? Make a end unama ඊළඟට මොකද වෙන්නේ? Now this function is going to return something. So at the end of the function, they have to return it. Now they are returning the circum, the variable. So to which point or to which place that this circum will return? Yes, Onetra? Tell me the line number of the main program. Main program එකේ මොන line එකටද? Main program එකේ lines පහක් තියෙනවා. හතරක් තියෙනවා. මොන line එකටද? Yes, sir, and that is correct. That is correct. Whatever it is being returned, it's going to return to the is it the fourth one? Not the fourth one, Anitra. It's going to be the third one, though. Yes, yes. In the third, it is exactly to this particular point it's going to return. Then we highlight kala tiyana එකෙන් process circumference කියන function එකට call වෙනවා. Once it is done, circum will return and replace this particular calling statement. එතකොට දැන් ඇත්තටම උතන තියෙන්නේ මොන වගේ එකක්ද? Right ln circumference equal, that is within inverted commas, then comma circum will be there because circum is going to return to this particular place. Got that, people? Give me a confirmation.
Yes, sir.
Right, great. Brilliant. Okay, same happens with the right ln area, process area. So you know what happens now. Yeah, Saran, like in which case, Saran, like circum is going to use in which particular point? You mean like without writing process circumference radius, just saying circum? Okay, it's a good question. Right now, the මෙතනදී ඔයගලන්ට ඒක කතා කරලා නැහැ. අපි program කරනකොට කතා කරනවා scope එක කියලා දෙයක් ගැන. Right? Scope එක කිව්වම අපි කතා කරනවා local scope and global scope කියලා දෙයක් ගැන. Now this is not in your syllabus, but since you are asking it, I'll tell you. Then local scope කියලා කියන්නේ සරන් හරියට අපේ ගේ ඇතුළ වගේ. Right? ගේ ඇතුළේ ඉන්න අයට ගේ ඇතුළ කියලා කියන්නේ function එකක් හරි procedure එකක් හරි කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. So ගේ ඇතුළේ තියෙන දේවල්, ගේ ඇතුළේ තියෙන දේවල් අපි ගේ ඇතුළේ තියෙන variables කියලා හිතුවොත් ඒක පේන්නේ ගේ ඇතුළේ ඉන්න අයට විතරයි. ගෙදරින් පිට ඉන්න කෙනෙකුට ගේ ඇතුළේ පේන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි ගේ ඇතුළේ ඉන්න අයට ගෙදරින් එළිය පේනවා. Right? ඒ කියන්නේ ගේ ඇතුළේ ඉන්න අයට පුළුවන් ගේ ඇතුළේ තියෙන variables උයි ගෙදරින් එළියේ තියෙන variables උයි දෙකම පාවිච්චි කරන්න. Right? So in programming jargon, functions can use both local and global variables. Function එක ඇතුළේ තියෙන variables උත් එයාට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. Function එකෙන් එළියේ තියෙන ඒවාත් පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? ඒක එක එක programming languages වල එක එක විදිහට වෙනස් වෙනවා. Right? But local global කිව්වම concept එක එකයි. හැබැයි global අයට පේන්නේ කියන්නේ ගෙදරින් එළියේ ඉන්න අයට පේන්නේ ගෙදරින් එළියේ තියෙන දේවල් විතරයි. කියන්නේ පාරේ ඉන්න අයට පේන්නේ පාරේ තියෙන දේවල් විතරයි. So circum is in the house. right? So Seren, we can't use circum right over here because this particular things, yeah, very good, at the outside of the house. තේරුණාද? එතකොට මේ අපි මේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකට කෝල් කරලා කරන්නේ ගේ ඇතුළේ ඉන්න කෙනෙක්ව එළියට තල්ලු කරගන්න එක. රිටර්න් කරනවා කියන්නේ ඒක. ගේ ඇතුළේ ඉන්න කෙනෙක්ව එළියට තල්ලු කරලා අරගන්න. අන්න එතකොට එළියේ ඉන්න අයට ඒක පේන්න ගන්නවා. Right? Good, good. Right? So when you are doing the this right ln, it's going to do the same thing. So they are going to print something. They will print area equal on the monitor. Then after they will find process area, the function calling with the radius variable. So it will call to this particular place and the area will be taken as a real value and then it will be calculated. The area will be calculated. And from here, process area, so area will be returned. So area is going to be returned to this particular place. So it will print area equals whatever the value which is being returned from the function area, function process area, right? Okay, so that's the end of the programming part, people. Right, like we were doing the programming for like almost 5 months, right? So yeah, so now let's quickly run through the theory part, so we will be able to start the new lesson by next week, right? So we got another 20 minutes of time, so I'm giving you some homeworks today, right? Yeah, for the Seren, for the in the examination, in the MCQs, you will be getting like 7 to 8 number of questions from programming, like that will sum up the flow charts, pseudocodes, plus programming. එකෙන් ප්‍රශ්න 7-8ක් විතර එනවා MCQ එකට. And in the second paper, the first question has 10 parts and one part or more than one, maybe two, is going to be from the programming language, and you are going to have separate question which is like with the choices where you are going to figure out a flow chart, right? They are given in the manner to fill the things out, fill the blanks in a flow chart. Then they are asked to write like again fill in the blanks for the programming language kind of things, or maybe a pseudocode, right? Or they may ask to write a little pseudocode according to that particular flow chart. Likewise. Got it? Okay, so
can there be like a slight chance of getting a program, like to write a program with subprogram?
I don't think so, Minul, because subprograms are like it's something little advanced. All they are saying is just give the concept for you all, right? It will be some, maybe there can be something like this. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට මෙහෙම මේ වගේ එකක හිස්තැන් පුරවන්න, fill in the blanks kind of things can be there, right? Or they may ask what are the components, like they will give you this particular segment and they will ask, okay, what is the name of the procedure, right? And as I ask you, what is the purpose of this program? So you have to say it will show enter radius trace on the monitor, and then once the user inputs some value, it will be read into the radius variable or assign into the radius variable, something like that. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, so now the theory part, right? So this is about the programming languages, the evolution of it, right? So the first thing, why we need the programming language is to illustrate something, or to get make machine understand what we say, right? We means the human, right? So human understand the human readable formats, and the machine understand machine readable formats, right? So machine readable format means ones and zeros, right? But we can't program using ones and zeros, which is going to be a very tedious work, right? So in the very first era of the program, like in the very first generation of the computer, they use punch cards to do this. Like they were directly saying the program with ones and zeros, right? But there it was a very simple task, simple lines which were introduced from ones and zeros, right? But today, like one particular statement, program statement, it's going to be converted into a lot of ones and zeros, right? uh, these programming languages are called high-level programming languages. So one statement of a high-level programming language is going to equal to many statements of machine language, which is ones and zeros, right? So, but these programming languages are like helping the human to code in a human-friendly manner, right? Like a programmer-friendly. අපිට ඔළුවට එන දේ අපේ language එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා අපිට පුරුදු භාෂාවකින් ලියන්න. Right? And there will be a one to convert or to interpret or to translate our program, which we have done using a high-level programming language like Pascal, into the ones and zeros. And that intermediary person or the intermediary program who do the conversion are called translators, right? So there are two types of translators, which is going to call as compiler and interpreter, right? So that is what they are saying right over here. There are programming languages, which is called machine language, assembly language, and the high-level languages, right? So like machine language, it is pure ones and zeros, right? Nothing else, right? And now we are not interfering with the computer with ones and zeros. But having a program in ones and zeros will give you some benefits, right? It like ones and zeros can be executed directly from the machine because they don't need to convert it into any other form because it is machine language, so machine can understand it very well. ඒක හරියට අපිට කවුරු හරි දෙයක් සිංහලෙන් කියනවා වගේ, right? අපිට සිංහල තේරෙනවා, ඒක නිසා ආයේ තව කවුරුත් අවශ්‍ය නැහැ අපිට ඒක අපි දන්න language එකකට convert කරලා දෙන්න. Fast in operation. Why it is fast? The program is written in machine language, so you will save the time which they have taken for conversion or the translation. So it says fast operation, fast in operation. So machine eකට input කරපු ගමන් ඒ input කරන moment එකේ ඉඳලා execute කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? And no need of language translators, right? As I told you. Dependency on machines, that a disadvantage. Then a punch card වල තිබ්බ ලොකුම ගැටලුව ඒක. Once we print a punch card to a one particular machine, if you are going to use the same program in another particular machine, we have to punch it again. මොකද machine එකෙන් machine එක processor එක මෙයාව තේරුම් ගන්න විදිය වෙනස්. Right? So we have to redo it again and again. Right? So it is called the mesh. It's depend on the machine. Right? And difficult to understand by human. Yeah, since it is ones and zeros. Now, if someone present you a punch card and asks you to read it, you will be able to read it by ones and zeros, using ones and zeros, but you won't be able to say what is there in a human readable language. Right? එහෙම කරන්න ඔයාට සෑහෙන වෙලාවක් යනවා ඒක ඔයා compile කර කර බලන්න ඕනේ. ඒකෙන් මොකක්ද අදහස් වෙන්නේ කියන එක. Right? So it was a language at the very beginning of the computer. So like after a while, they will develop a language called assembly language, which they gave the ability to use little English words, which we call mnemonics, right? So they could program little bit easier then they program in machine language, right? So එතනදී punch card කියන එක උමනා වුන්නේ නැහැ. So they can feed the instructions using the assembly language. So assembly language will be converted into the machine language by using a translator called assembler, right? දැන් යාව අපි පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ assembler කියන්නේත් ඉස්සරහට අපි කතා කරනවා interpreter කියලා කෙනෙක්. So interpreter kind of a translator කෙනෙක්, right? So what assembler will do is whatever we written, it's going to convert it into ones and zeros line by line, right? So ඒගොල්ලෝ English වලින් ලියුවයින් පස්සේ English can it's not the pure English, right? It's going to be something like enemy wage LDR 007, right? JMP 008 ඔය විදිහට තියෙන්නේ, right? So later this will be converted, the line by line will be converted into ones and zeros. So still comparatively this is a little bit easier for the human programmers or for us, right? But still can ones and zeros වලින් පේලි 10යි නම් හැදෙන්නේ assembly language එකෙත් we have to write 10 lines, right? So it's a one-to-one conversion, right? තාමත් අර complex programming කියන පැත්තට ය아가න්න අමාරුයි assembly language එකකුත් එක්ක, right? So then there they found the invented the high level programming language. Now these two are called low level programming languages. Machine language and the assembly language are called low level programming languages, and the all other languages are addressed as high level languages. Now when it comes to the high level languages, we need a proper translator to translate whatever being written using the high level language, right? And high level language is easy to understand by the human, right? But they need a translator to translate the program language or the source code into ones and zeros, right? And the most important or the very best thing that you were getting out of the high level languages, we don't need to prepare programs machine by machine, right? Previously it was the problem when they create a punch card for a particular machine, it won't work. In most of the cases it won't work for another machine, so they have to create a separate punch card again to the same program, right? But in here with the high level languages, you don't need to create programs to machine by machine. You just create a one particular program, you just write a one particular program, interpreter will interpret according to the machine, right? එතකොට A කියන machine එකට එයාට ගැලපෙන විදිහට convert කරලා දෙනවා, B කියන machine එකට එයාට ගැලපෙන විදිහට convert කරලා දෙනවා, right? So it's the interpreter who does that work. All right, shall we mark the things that you are going to write at home, right? Then මෙතනදී පොඩ්ඩක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගෙදර ලියා ගන්න පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ, otherwise we will running out of time to do the rest of the things, right? So please mark what you need to be written, right, on the textbook using a pencil, right? Pencil එකකින් mark කරගන්න. You are going to write the evolution of programming language, the heading, right? And you don't need this this first thing, the need of programming language, right? And you can straight away go to the low level programming language as the first subtopic. So under the machine language, yeah, so you have to write the entire thing. මෙතනත් මිස් කරන්න බෑ එතන වැදගත් දේවල් ටිකක් තියෙන්නේ. Right, the copy down this entire thing, right, like from both the machine language and the assembly language, right? Please mark it, right? You can fill up the things at home.
So will O-levels be again postponed?
Didn't get that.
Will O-levels be again postponed?
Menol, it's like this. If the schools are not going to start, like they are saying they are going to start by 7th of May, but if they move it further than that, I think it's going to reschedule, right? Which is a very teasing thing.
So like everything has a long-term effect first.
Yes,
A-levels get
definitely. Even in the previous exams we had the problem, but the only thing is that what they are trying to cover, like after your O levels, the A levels will be begun after 6 months of period. So that is what they are getting easy on their task, right? ඒ කියන්නේ මාස 6ක් තියෙන නිසා ඕක පොඩ්ඩක් ඉස්සරහට ගියට කමක් නැහැ කියන mentality එකේ තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉන්නේ. But for you people as well as for we people, it is teasing, right? ඒ කියන්නේ එකක් ඒක අර නේද අපේ හිතට නිදහස් නෑ අපි වැඩේ ඉවර වෙනකොට, but there are some practical problems, right? So we have to, like, let's hope and pray. මං හිතන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ plan එක තියෙන්නේ බොහොම ඉක්මනින් O levels and A levels කට්ටියව ඉස්කෝල වලට ගනි. අනිත් අය නැති වුණත් ඒ අරගෙන ස්ප්‍රෙඩ් කරලා එක්සෑම්ස් ටික අවුල් නොකර තියාගන්න. මොකද එක්සෑම් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එක පැත්තටත් මේක හරි හෙඩේක් එකක් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Because these things are being postponed, right? So let's not think about postponing the things, right? Let's get ready for the exams in the January, right? Then A levels කට්ටියගේ මාස දෙකකින් shift වුණා. They are going to, instead of facing on August, they are going to face on the October, right? So yeah, it is a hard time for everyone, right? So let's hold it up. ඕගොල්ලෝ හොඳයි නේද? දැන් පොඩිම කාලේ ඉන්න අයට සෑහෙන ඔබ ඉස්සරහට යනවා, right? I don't know what is going to be the plan, right? Okay, so yeah, regarding the high level programming languages, yeah, people, we have to copy down the entire thing, right? You don't need to draw the diagram, right? But the content. So it's going to be a lengthy note for you when it comes to the from low level programming language up to this particular point. Did you all get that? Did you all got that marked clearly?
Yes.
Right, okay. Right. And regarding the programming language types, here they are talking about the paradigms, right? Like අපි ඔය paradigms කියන වචනේ අපි පාවිච්චි කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ සිංහලෙන් පාවිච්චි කරනවා මේ ඔකට සිංහලෙන් සමහර කට්ටිය කියනවා parody එකක් කියලා, right? So this is just introducing or like illustrating the way that things are going to happen, right? එතකොට ඔය programming කියන එකම කරන්න පුළුවන් විවිධ approaches, right? Different approaches that they are indicating as paradigms, right? So there are two different approaches which we call imperative and declarative, right? So in the imperative, you are going to have, like, these are some major categories, right? There are many categories inside the imperative, right? So the procedural, object-oriented and parallel processing is for the imperative part, and for declarative part, it's logical or logic, functional data flow, and database, right? So it's different types of approach. Just take it like that, right? And here they are like introducing the difference between the procedural and the declarative paradigms, right? So procedural paradigms, or like the procedural programming, is happening according to a procedure, or according to a sequence, right? So as it says, the procedural language is computer programming language which consists of well-structured set of steps and procedures, right? So they have what to be done, right? So then the things are there, like, and it is said how it happens, like one after the other, right? And now Pascal can be taken as a procedural paradigm feature. It is having the procedural paradigm feature. Then anithaka, what you have to remember is, like, you can't just like කියන්නේ එක්කෙනෙක්ව එක කැටගරි එකකට තනි කරලා තියන්න බෑ. අපි පැස්කල් ගත්තොත් පැස්කල් එකට procedural paradigm features තියෙනවා. Right? And later you will see there are some object oriented paradigms is also there. Right? So likewise එක්කෙනෙකුට qualities කීපයක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? And people, I'm going to continue the session until 4:45 since we started at 3:15, right? In case if someone got a class at 4:30, just refer the video to see what we are going to write in the write at home, right? And now this is a very good illustration regarding the procedural and declarative paradigms, right? So procedural paradigm, it says how to do the thing, or as it says, it simply explains this is what to be done first, this is what to be done second, this is what to be done third. So it is the way, right? Then අපි program එක ලියනකොට we said we introduce the name of the program, then we declare the variables, then we put begin, then we say okay, take a user input, add those user input together, right, and display the total. So line by line we are explaining, or like we are giving the instructions to the program how the task should get done, right? So in this particular examples, they are going to like build a column of blocks, right? So what they are trying to do is, in the procedural one, they say how it done. Keep block A, then keep block B on the top of block A, then keep block C on the top of block B. Now in declarative paradigms, they are not going to instruct you how to do that. They will give whatever the things that you require, right? So they will say, okay, you create a pillar which consists of 3 blocks, right? So program should have the ability to figure out how we are going to do this, right? So those are the declarative paradigms things. Now if we consider a structured language like SQL, structured query language, SQL කියන language එක අපි පාවිච්චි කරනවා database එක, right? So on those languages, we are just giving them a command, right? එක tables ගොඩක් තියෙනවා, අපි කියනවා මෙන්න මේ tables වලින් මෙන්න මේ data ටික තෝරලා දෙන්න. So we are not going to tell how we are going to access the table, how we are going to open the table, how we are going to take the things from the table, and how we are going to arrange the output. We are not going to tell anything about that. It is done by the programming language. Then they will give us a very nice output, in most of the cases from a table, right? So We are just saying what to be done. That is what we call declarative paradigm, right? Yeah, now here what they are doing is they compare the structured and object-oriented paradigms. Right now, structured paradigm, object-oriented is somewhere here, right? So structured is something in the same imperative paradigm, but there are differences when it comes to structured and object-oriented. Now, structured program, like it is the way that we have programmed that, right? අපි variables හැදුවා, ඊට පස්සේ variables ටිකට data ඕනනම් ඒක assign කරා, then we are working with the variables like one after the other. අර procedural වල අපි කතා කර විදිහම තමයි structured programming language කියලා කියන්නේ. They are having a very specific structure how to do the things like one after the other. When it comes to the object-oriented paradigms, the components or the variables ම කියලා අපිට කියන්න බෑ. Program එකට ඕන වෙන components, we refer them as objects, right? Then we are going to build up the program using the recognized objects. Right now, this they have given you a nice picture regarding the object-oriented program. So it's object. There are like two types of things: properties and methods. Right? So object has properties, object has methods. Now, if you take a student as an object, the properties that they have is the how height he is, and what is the hair color, what are the eye color, those kind of things. Right? Then attributes. What are the things that he? I'm sorry, not the attributes type of things. The methods. What are the things that they can do? So student can run, student can walk, student can jump, student can learn. So those are the methods. So this programming language is allowing us to make the program using that particular scenario. So first we have to recognize what are the objects that is going to involve with this program. Then we are going to define what are the methods that those objects can do, right? So that is what we call object-oriented method, right? And here they have given an example. So library information system, if you do it structured approach, the system will be there. It will be decomposed into three parts: the recording loans, adding resources, and reporting finance. But when it comes to the object-oriented approach, there are no activities. They just find the objects. There is object called catalog. There is object called book. There is object called library. There is object called librarian, right? So then librarian will look into the catalog to lend out the books with the given scope, right? So it's a I know it's a little harder concept for you to understand sometimes, but just know the difference, right? Okay, here they have given many different ways to identify this particular scenario, right? So they take dog. Dog has properties like color, eye color, height, length, weight. Methods: it can sit, live, shake, right? So walk. So from the object කියන එක derive වෙන්නේ class එකකට දාලා දැන් මෙතන dog කියන්නේ කොහොමද? dog කියන්නේ එක class එකක්. ඒකෙන් objects derive කරගන්න පුළුවන්, right? So properties පැත්තගත්තම color එක තියෙනවා, eye colors තියෙනවා, මේකට දාලා height එක, like there are different types of things, right? Color is gray, white and black, eye color is blue and brown, height is 18 inches, length is 36 inches, weight is 30 pounds, likewise. So property values. So method, it's going to be same methods. So we can compare the things on that particular manner as well, right? So before we move to the programming and scripting, here it's the same thing that they are talking about: procedural languages and object-oriented languages, right? So computation involves code operating on data. So code is there, data is there. Now object, when it comes to the object, it has separate codes, it has separate data. So each and every employee, each and every component is going to be on this particular manner when it comes to the object-oriented languages, right? All right, here are the things that you need to write down regarding this, right? So please mark programming language types, the topic. And from that, just mark these lines. It's better you underline it so you can copy those things at home. Yeah. Yeah. So it's better you copy down the second paragraph only, right? Only the second paragraph. And you better draw this picture. මේක අඳිනකොට මේ විදිහටම අඳින්න ඕනේ. So you can so like hierarchy එකක් අඳිනවා වගේ අඳින්න පුළුවන්. Right? So the second paragraph, please mark that plus the picture. Right? And you don't need to bother about the table. And regarding these differences, yeah. So the difference between procedural and declarative paradigms. So the first paragraph, right? Just copy it down. You don't need to draw the diagram. And this is important. මේක ඒ විදිහටම ලියාගන්න second point එක විදිහට. Right? And yeah, then you can copy this one. මේකේ මොකද දෙන්නේ? Yeah, copy this particular line. In declarative programming, program is designed to solve problems, explaining what you want rather than stating how to solve the problem, as in primary programming languages. And please draw this diagram. Right, only the diagram. And regarding the structured and object oriented, so this is the one I told you to underline. So comparison of structured and object oriented, you better you have the heading and yeah, you write these two things. These last two lines regarding the structured programs. And regarding the objects-oriented programming, from this point to this point. Object-oriented programming is a programming paradigm based on the concept of objects. Object consists of data and methods. Methods are codes that are in the form of procedures and handle them. Okay. Right, by next week, I'm going to talk about the language translators, and that's going to be the end of the lesson. Right, I think we have already talked about these language translators as well, but I'm going to recap it. Then I'm going to jump to the 7th lesson. Right, not the 7th lesson, the second one. Right, so we'll continue from that particular point by next week. Right, so please complete your notes. Right, don't let them keep as empty. Right, so have a nice weekend. Right, Saran, actually at the end of the first term we have to complete both first and second lessons. Second lesson actually a very small lesson regarding the system development life cycle, so I hope one session will be sufficient, or at least 1.5 session will be sufficient for you to complete it. So first two lessons are there for the first term. Like, I took some time for this because it is something you need if you are thinking about a programming career, right? So that is why I was a little bit descriptive in this part, right? So we'll try to finish the things off by next week and the week after, right? Okay, people. So have a very nice evening, right? And I'm going to meet you for the same time on next Sunday as well, right? Thank you very much, people. I'm going to end the session. Please complete your notebooks, please, because I'm going to have the photos like after some time, right? So you have to send me the things, how your notebook is working with you. Right. Thank you very much, people. Right. Have a nice weekend.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Right. Okay, Minu. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dua.